Hey everybody! Sorry, I'm eating a Starburst. Well, surprise! We're here with a jury roundtable. We're joined by 5. Sorry, I gotta finish with Starburst. I apologize. We're joined with 5 currently of our 8 jurors. And I think a few more will probably trickle in. So let's bring them in. I've missed their faces. We've got Mark and Christy and K-Pal and Chandler and Macy. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Hey.
I missed the memo.
Why do they make Starburst so juicy though? I mean,
I don't know.
They're just so good.
I just couldn't finish it in time.
I was actually in good and plenty while this thing was starting, and I'm like, why will this not go down my throat right now? And if you did have a Starburst, I would have been like choking on good and plenty. So,
Macy, I'm so glad you could join us. We didn't hear from you all day today. How'd your move go, girl?
It's crazy. Things are starting to come together, but I'm exhausted still.
Well, thanks for joining us. Don't feel like you have to stay here forever. We're just going to talk about the final 3 and talk through about their games and
I'm excited.
What are we looking forward to for tomorrow? So if you're just joining us, we are in the final 3 of Big Brother Hometowns 11, which is insane. Our final 3 of Gwen, Dan, and Justin, and as we all now know them, Notorious are RBG, red, blue, green. Yeah, red, blue, green. So, does anyone want to start us off with just like some general thoughts about this trio and how they made it to the end? Anybody have a thought? If that isn't telling.
As I said earlier to Mitchell and to the people at home, the game actually ended last night about 9 p.m. But it's weird because it is a really good alliance. It just makes me mad that it worked out. I know that sounds really bad, but I didn't mean that to sound bad. But it just like they all know I love them. But like it's a weird thing of like, yeah, 3 great, strong, smart players all together.
Competing for 2 spots and only 1 winning spot.
Yeah, That's where my frustration comes in. Like, I'm all for the alliance being put together. And I mean, it's made it to where they could get this far. But they had so many chances to take a shot at each other and put themselves in a better position to win that it's just the end game. I don't feel like any of the three have played it super, super well. Maybe that's just me also being a little bitter because I'm in the jury and they're still in the game. But I don't know. There was, and this is nothing at all against like some of the people that were in there, but I think all of us probably, when we got to the jury, thought that these three are probably the top three on our order of who would get our votes to win at the end. To not see them go try to take people that they could easily beat. Some people would say it's respectable. I would play to win, so I would try to take the person that's easier for me to beat. But I don't know. Good for them for making it work.
From a show of hands, how many people find it respectable that they like stayed loyal to their alliance? And oh, good, Anthony's here.
I was like, what?
Oh, good, Anthony's.
I don't necessarily not think it was respectable that they were loyal. I just think like a lot of things weren't respectable, so the not respectable outweighs the respectable.
Okay. How many people, given the chance, would have cut a close ally to sit next to someone that they felt like they could have beat?
Well, I mean, like honestly,
Chandler, you know it.
Honestly, I would have probably handled the final four a lot differently if they just told me, "Hey, we're in the final three." I would have actually been a lot because I would. My actual only issue with the whole situation for me is that it happened that I found out when I was getting evicted. Like it felt like if no one wants to be flat by word embarrassed on TV, you know. I know it's not like TV, but like I mean, it's that thing of like, hey, we all been together the whole time. Bye. Like
you got brigaded, bro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh gosh, here's someone else. Oh, oh my gosh, the gang is all here. I think is that everybody?
No, we're missing Davey.
Missing Davey. Hopefully he shows up.
Can y'all hear me okay?
We can, but you have a lot of background.
Yeah, I'll try and start moving. I'll try to find a new spot.
Okay.
It sounded like a baseball game.
Are you at the bar?
I am at a surprise birthday party. And I've been here for a little bit. So please forgive me.
That's dedication.
Blake, how's it going?
I forgot how to unmute. Hi, it's going. How are you doing? How are we all doing?
We're good. We are talking through, and I would love to get your take on this. We're talking through the decision to remain loyal to a group of three, considering that there's only 2 spots in the end and only 1 winner. Whether or not that's good gameplay, is that respectable, or what would we have rather seen?
I mean, I think it's good gameplay to a point. I think that the only way that you win in this game is by making groups containing smaller groups that contain smaller groups. But there comes a time when you have to look at your path to the end of the game and say, does my path to the end that includes these 2 people result in me winning? So if the 2 people that you are loyal to, you can be loyal to them to a point, but you're going to have to turn on them at some point. So I'm going to say what I think we're all thinking, which is that Gwen probably should have turned on Dan and Justin at some point. And I don't know what opportunity she had. I mean, obviously she had, was Gwen Final Four HOH or am I crazy?
Yeah, she was Final Four Final Four vote. So she was down last night.
She was the HOH at the Final 5.
Yeah.
Oh, Final 5. Yeah. So it's like there were plenty of times where people should have taken the shot at Dan and Justin, because I think even then, I mean, I would be so much more inclined to vote Gwen to win if she put them both up and somehow they both stayed, because at least I know she tried something and she failed. But as of right now, it's like you were loyal for way too long, and now you can't cut the people that you needed to cut. So
Yeah, that's where I am similarly. Like, I do respect the loyalty, but I think it was not good gameplay the way like that they have played it out. If they're wanting to actually win, if they care more about winning than like being loyal, which they might care more about being loyal, but I also don't think so because of the way that they've been with some of the people in jury.
Well, when I talked to Gwen Can y'all hear me okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's much better.
Sorry. When I talked to Gwen and Justin, when they kindly called me earlier in the day and said they weren't going to keep me around, Gwen was very confident that she could beat Dan in final two. And I told her, I said, look, as a friend, I think you're delusional because you might be doing a lot of work, but he positioned himself to like let you do all the strategic work while he's just sit back and destroying the comps and protecting himself and making sure he gets to the end. But I think I admire, I guess, the loyalty, but I think from a strategic standpoint, you have to realize that there's someone better and you need to take a shot. And I think we all saw when I was HOH, I half-ass tried that. And even me, I was big.
No. You tried it. It just he got off the block.
Well, this is the thing too. Like the right thing now would have been Dan and Gwen, and then a renom of Justin. But I don't see any case. Even if I would have thought, if I would have known what I know now about them being tight, I don't know if I could have renommed Justin because Justin and I were so tight.
Yeah, Justin and I were stupid tight like the whole game too.
Right. So like, I guess their loyalty protected them in that sense, but like she's still, if she sits next to Dan, I don't see how she could win. I mentioned in the chat, like there's a chance that Justin could make a case for himself because he did do a lot of strategy work up front. But yeah, loyalty is great, but only two can sit at the end and only one can win.
Yeah, I told Gwen something similar whenever Big Jerk Anthony had me on the block and was sitting.
You shouldn't have lied about that vote. No, I love you. I love you, man. I'm sorry.
I literally named out every single person. I was like, you'll probably win against this person. You're probably going to lose against this person. You're probably going to lose against this person. You're probably going to lose against this person. You're probably going to win against this person. And like, I don't know. I don't think that I feel like doesn't matter.
Anybody else have any final thoughts on this? I want to transition into a similar but different question.
This is her 20. She told me in her video today she played. This is like her 25th or like 30th org, and I don't know. It sounds like she was probably one before the way she was talking about it to me. Like she's like, because last night I didn't mince words. I was like, I don't think you can beat them. And she's like, listen, this is my 20 something org, and I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Anybody else have any final thoughts about this? Okay, I wanna transition to a similar question that's still kind of talking about this group. When you have a group that kind of has dominated a lot of the strategy throughout a season, how do you separate and give quote unquote moves to different people? And like maybe if someone has if you guys have already figured out like who you're giving credit to for certain moves or for certain things, like please enlighten us. But I'm curious about this.
I think they have to own the way that they exploited their other relationships to get their group that far. So I think they need to be able to tell us like what individually they did and who they controlled in the group in order to like get that particular group that far. Because I want to know like who were the people that were pulling the strings of who in order to make the moves that they made to get to the final.
They claim that they controlled the whole house. So like I think Justin and Gwen are going to take credit like for pretty much all of that. And when it comes to the credit taking, I'm still pissed that everybody has claimed responsibility for the Smiley group, but I'm the freaking one that created it. Dan and I talked about it.
Which is exactly what Justin said in his video to me this morning with his
the game's all here.
Baby.
Hey, Davey.
Hi.
Hey, Davey.
What's up?
Like, yeah, like it's that weird thing of them. Like, he basically said he got everyone to accept people that were in Smiley to be in Smiley that were not RBG.
Well, I'll add to that because like rounds before, I was like, Justin, like we need to build a 6 outside of the things that we've been working on. And he was like, man, it's kind of deep. And we started. That's when we were talking about like Blake's involvement with K-Pow, and if we involved people that weren't involved with other people, how people could run. So he was like, no, that's not a good idea. And then like 2 days later, he was like, hey, go talk to Macy. And I was like, I'm already talking to Macy. So like, I'll give him credit. They were him for me and my peripheral. He was involved in making that happen, but I'm sure the other folks were pulling their strings. But like, I will say this, kind of what K-Pow said. It's going to be interesting to see how they own it, because some of us that were closer to them could see the moves and also see how we were important. Other people were important to their moves and important to their gameplay. And then there's other people who might have been on the outside that was like, I didn't see it, and I'll listen to whatever you have to say, and it makes sense to me. But like, you know, they're going to have to do a really compelling job of telling people who are on the outside of that, like what their move was to make that power grab of the 6 and the 3 and all that good stuff.
But I don't think that there's anybody that was in Smiley that wasn't already working together. Like it wasn't like this alliance that came together from like opposite sides of the house. Like it was me, you, and Justin who were in a final 3. It was me, Macy, and Gwen who like had a girls' chat since day 1. Like
Name it.
Go ahead.
I said name it.
The menstruating lying bitches.
Wow.
We stand.
Like,
oh my gosh.
I love that.
I was in a group chat with Dan. Like, there was nobody in Smiley that wasn't already working together. Like, so it was just kind of putting 6 people in one chat that were already voting the same way from like a week prior, I think.
Mm-hmm. I wanna give Davey a chance to chime in. Hey, Davey.
Hi.
He's got PSA, you know?
He has a PSA, and we're talking about the trio in general. We haven't really talked anything specific yet. We just kind of talked about like, is the trio, were they smart in going to the end together?
Okay.
You know, how do we separate them? Like, so if you have any thoughts on that, since you just joined us.
So for Notorious RBG, here's the truth, Bader Ginsburg. Here's the truth. They really prioritize themselves over everybody else. And I think, you know, as a voting bloc, that's what you should do, right? Like you should make decisions together and prioritize each other. Because that's what a voting bloc does. I think I don't know. I can't say more because I got outplayed, and I feel like keeping threats in front of them was really important, and they within themselves are threats. So that's what I gotta say.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wanna circle back to something that K-Pow said about them exploiting people, and I thought of a fun game that we could play. Raise your hand if you feel exploited by Gwen. If you felt exploited by Gwen in the game. Okay. Raise your hand if you felt exploited by Justin in the game. Okay. Raise your hand if you felt exploited by Dan in the game. So the only person who didn't raise their hand was Crispy.
I had no fucking clue what was going on in the house. Let's be real here.
But I feel like that's an interesting thing to point out, in that like and we've already said they did a great job of covering all sides of the house. So, but does anyone have, like, seeing the people who raised their hand for each one, does that clarify anything for anyone? Does that point anything? Does that change anything for anybody? Or
well, let me go first. I don't feel any beef toward the three of them because they had other people do the work for them. Macy is the reason I went after Lee. Anthony is the reason I was pissed off at Blake. Like, they had other people do the work for them when it came to me, at least. So the three of them was like, they're there.
Wait, what did I do? I forgot.
You're the one that told me that Lee was pushing for the K-Pow and Justin to be the ones behind the flip. Or maybe you were. Maybe it was Gwen. I don't remember.
Wait, Crispy, what happened was she told me, and then I told you, Crispy. I said, "Don't worry about it, Macy.
Okay.
I'm gonna take care of you."
Anthony's the one that fucked you over.
Yeah.
But you said somebody said to say it. I don't have the chat anymore, so I can't remember.
that was one of my favorite moments. Was Lee went to Macy and said, "Macy, you need to do me a solid. And you need to go and tell Crispy that Justin and K-Pow are the ones that led the flip on Adam." And Macy said, she came to her DR chat, she said, "Not Lee telling me what to do." And then she went to every single other person and was like, "I can't believe Lee would tell me what to do." And then she went right back to Lee and goes, "I told him, don't worry, I got your back."
And it got me anyhow. So.
And the best thing was, I thought Crispy even said, he was like, "Oh shit, Lee's gonna think he's got control of my noms." And the whole time I was trying to protect K-Pow and Justin, and he's like, "I'm still doing it." I'm like, no, don't you see? And it worked out because we worked on him so hard that he changed his mind. Even Chandler, who was anti-backdoor Lee, the next morning was like, "Yeah, bro, we got to get rid of Lee."
That is the one move that I will, not the one move because he played a good game. That's not right. One of the moves that I will give Justin credit for, as he came, and I don't know if it was true information or completely made up, but he told me that Lee had been going around and spreading my name around because of the accidental message the night before.
I can confirm that didn't happen. I tried to save your butt that whole night.
Oh my god, you know that?
Oh my gosh.
Chandler, I tried to save your butt that whole night.
Wait,
in
tell us
every
what
chat.
So I was trying to send K-Pow a message because this was in the moment when I thought K-Pow was loyal to me, but when I was still thinking we were final two before I thought that she had turned on me. And I tried to send her a message that said, "Lee is making me nervous." Well, I accidentally sent it in the Reckless Ops chat that Lee was in. So yeah, that happened. So Justin came and told me that Lee did not buy that it was like made up. Because my excuse was that Lee was making me nervous because he said the vote was going to be close, but nobody bought it.
The entire night, everyone was messaging me, being like, "Oh, so do you think Chandler wrote that in the wrong chat?" And I was like, "No, I don't even know what's
Someone
going
messaged
on."
me about it, and I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." But okay, because I remember I heard about it when it was happening. I was like, "Sure, yeah, Chandler is shady."
But also, like, can we go back to that vote when I was like, and I apologize for this, Macy, where I was like, I want to nominate Macy and Adam, and I want Macy to go home, and everybody was just like, I don't think so. And then
Sorry.
No, you got it.
I have two comments. One, actually, I forgot my first one. Never mind.
No, when the results came up, my face is like that one graphic where it's like, oh my god, that was the first time that I think an HOH didn't get their wish or whatever.
Davey was so mad about it too.
Davey was so mad.
Now I remember what I was about to say. Okay, I totally get everybody's like, why the heck didn't we save Adam? But my feelings are a little bit hurt.
But listen, that was a huge turning point in the game, y'all. I don't know if you realize that was such a huge turning point. For me personally, when I realized I was gonna have to make sacrifices and not be able to fight for something, because I was trying to fight for Adam, and I knew there was no point of trying to fight because it would look bad. And I said, you know what, Macy's gonna stay. I'm gonna keep growing with Macy. And that's when Smiley was created. That's when Endgame was created, and that's when right after the straight shooters were created. That was a huge turning point in the game because it was a divide which created oh, things are not what we seem, and we need to strategize to get past this. And
I also think that RBG each has a specific way of like right before the vote they do a certain thing. They have like this giveaway that's like I'm not gonna vote the way that you want to. Gwen's pretty much like silent, radio silent until like maybe 10 minutes before, and she's like, hey, sorry, I was like really busy with work. I'm not gonna vote with you. Dan's very like, so I've gathered all the facts here today.
It's a paragraph.
It's not in my best game to vote with you. And Justin's pretty much like, so I hear what you're saying, but I can't vote with you.
This
and
is
I'm
so
just
accurate.
like, and I'm just like, you guys really don't know how to lie. I mean, you're not lying because you're being truthful, but it's the same thing over and over again.
Did everyone get like a message from like Gwen and then Justin, or Justin and Gwen like back to back almost all the time? Like I didn't process that until last night. Like I was like, oh yeah, duh, of course.
One thing that I will say, and I think like you all know, and this comes from me knowing Justin like outside of the game, but I will say that with every vote that had to happen, like he knew how to handle me to get his way. Like he knew exactly what?
I said hot.
Oh.
You knew Justin outside the game. You know each other?
Yes. Like he knew what to say, the way to say it, like exactly the way that would get the result. That I didn't really pick up on until I left the game and learned about all the things. So I think that, like, yeah, that's just something that I would say.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Davey.
No, I was gonna say sorry, Macy. That was like definitely a turning point though, because it kind of like cut communication off with Macy at that point, and like imagine if I had like picked up on RBG before and been like, hey Macy, like maybe this was like a rocky start and like maybe we should work together to disband this group. Maybe things would have worked out differently.
Afterwards,
Yeah,
I thought about that, but it was once I was in jury and I couldn't do anything about it. But
Yeah,
I felt so bad for you, though, Macy. Like how like it was just like everyone's like, we're saving Adam, and then like 2 hours over, like we're saving Macy. Like that's exactly how it was for me. Like literally, I was the last one to find out, and I was just like, okay, cool. I like them both, but like it just felt really bad because like everyone's just like super sad. I mean, because Adam's the shit, and so are you. So, but like I felt terrible.
They did a bad job though on managing the fallout of that, because I was worried because I wanted Adam to stay. Nothing against Macy, but like Adam and I had like video chatted probably like 4 times and strategized. Like Macy and I just talked occasionally, and it was fine. It had nothing to do against her. It was just I felt like Adam could have eventually grown to like a very close, like even a final 2 type thing. But what happened was when I realized Adam was going, that was the night my wife's birthday dinner thing, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna go down. I have no room to like do any movement. So I like warned all the people that I knew that were like Team Adam. I was like, yo, I'm just letting you know it's not looking good. And which like I realized that RBG now, which wasn't RBG then, they really didn't tell the other side. Like Crispy was like, I didn't even hear from anybody. And I was like, that was one thing, like a flaw in their game that I realized that they might have been able to go a little undercover longer if they would have managed that fallout. And it was kind of interesting to see. That helped me stay covered, but not long enough, obviously. But I just thought that was interesting that, like I reached out to, I think, a few of the, which became the straight shooters. And I was like, this isn't looking good, and there's no chance we can save it.
All right, let's move into talking
sorry,
maybe
everyone
about
that stayed in the game.
Macy. We're glad you stayed. We miss Adam, but you staying added a lot to the season, so don't feel bad.
Yeah,
no, Macy, you're freaking great. I really like see that closer to you after jury started, and I really enjoyed it.
And you help me make TikToks. You help me
Always,
make
always.
TikToks.
All right, let's maybe
love
start
y'all.
talking. Let's maybe start talking and spend a little bit of time talking about each one individually. Let's start with Dan, who I've gathered that most of you feel very highly on. Does someone want to talk maybe through why you're so high on Dan's game?
That mustache is just so charming.
Mhm.
No, like sometimes, like I think that Dan understands the face-to-face interaction, and sometimes we would video chat, and I would just be like so attentive to what he was saying because it was just nice to, I don't know, like talk to him. He like genuinely wanted to get to know people and made hard decisions when cutting them.
Dan did a unique thing that is hard to do, I think, and that was that he made a lot of personal conversations. So like you felt like you got to know him better and like he cared about you. He also made you like feel close enough to him to where you wouldn't want to go after him, but also didn't feel like he betrayed me at all when I found out he came against me. Like it was like close enough to where I wasn't gonna want to go after him, but I never felt close enough to where like it was just gonna be like he was my final two. And he didn't need me to be because he knew I wasn't gonna be there for final two because he had control of the game. So it was a really unique way of being loyal to me to an extent to where I'm loyal to him, but not being so loyal to me to where I feel burned when he goes against me or telling pointless lies. Because once he realized he wasn't keeping me, he should have told me it's best for my game to vote you out here. So that's what I'm doing. And then in his goodbye message to me, told me about how he wanted me out from the beginning of that week because he knew he needed Crispy as a bigger target because Crispy was the biggest target in the house at that point to stay because he knew he could be a target after Crispy. So Dan just did a really good job though of making me really like him, but also not feel like an unbreakable game bond with him to where it wasn't like he really turned on me. I think he's played a wonderful game, and I would love to see a Dan win.
He turned on me, so that's just honestly a fact there. So, but I mean, I know I'm like one of the only people I like really turned on in this game. So.
Macy, you're lagging really bad. You might want to try and
I'm
leave,
sorry.
and it's okay. You might want to just try and leave and come back and see if that works. I'll add you back in when you. Okay, Blake, I want to get your take on Dan. You were close with him throughout most of the game.
So can I quickly give my take on all three because I do have to go because I have to host
Please.
a tribal in a second.
Please
So
do.
the thing that I like about Dan is like kind of to the same point as what everyone else says. It's really hard to make people feel like you genuinely care, and even if he didn't genuinely care, he made me feel like he did. I would say that for me, a lot of times in these games, it's hard to just give a shit about people, and I think Dan does that really well. A thing also that I think Dan did well as it compares to Justin is that nobody really sniffed out how good Dan was until it was too late. And to me, that's the sign. Well, yeah, I mean, like, there probably were people that did, obviously, but like, I just think Justin getting whatever thing he got in the majority rules challenge where he got like most in control, to me, I think that is the person that you want to hide behind. So I think what Dan excelled at was being so good at what he does, and by the time people picked up on it, it's like, fuck, everybody likes Dan too much to get rid of him. Also, I've never felt like less mad at somebody for being the main reason for my elimination in the game. Like Dan put me up and was actively the reason that I went home, and I somehow don't feel mad about that. I would have felt more mad somehow if he was here, but the fact that he is in final three and probably going to win this game, to me, makes me feel like vindicated in his decision. Justin, I'm just going to say this on a game level, not on a human level. Justin is a douche. The goodbye messages were so unbelievably douchey. I do not want to hear about how great and powerful your game was until you're in the final two, because if you don't make the final two, that shit does not matter to me in any way. I want to vote for Justin, but like he's going to need to tell me something that he hasn't said to every single other person in his goodbye messages in a canned video. because that was not it. I need you to tell me how great I am and how cool and important and how much you love me. Like, I need you to suck up to me in a goodbye message, because I think doing that in a place where your final two opponent couldn't defend themselves is douchey. And Gwen, I just don't think I'm voting for Gwen. So that's the T. I mean, I could vote for Gwen against Justin, but it's very unlikely because I just don't know what she did. I think she had a chance to take a shot at the people that are going to beat her the most, like the easiest, and she didn't do it. She fucked up the opportunity. I think she could have beaten any of Anthony, Mark, Macy. I'm not going to say it would have been a sweep, but I think she could have beaten any of them. So that's my truth. I do have to go because I have to host a tribal. It's been lovely getting to know you all.
Bye, Blake.
Blake.
Sorry for being so vague, Blake. That's what he told me today. He told me I was
At
very
least he's getting
vague.
me a Christmas card now.
Yeah, that's
Very
honestly
true.
all we really needed to solve tonight was whether Davey was getting a Christmas card or not. So
I'm still probably not, but
there's hope. There's always hope. Blake always surprises me.
Unblock him on Twitter. Maybe you'll get one.
I already did.
That was so funny when that happened, though, because Blake told me in the game, he's like, Christian blocked me. I'm like, what?
Oh, gosh. Let's move on. Okay. Anybody have anything else they want to say about Dan?
Yes. Is it better?
Yes, it's so much better. Go for it,
Okay,
Macy.
sorry. So I first started talking to Dan on day 0 because we were on the same bus, and we both just like, I don't know. To me, I was like, I can really trust this person. Like, are any of you on my bus? Were you on my bus? No. I was like,
No.
I was like, I like this
Green,
person
baby.
the most that's on my bus. And so we started talking from then, and we did video chats. And like, I remember one red flag was I said something. I was like, because I didn't like really talk about F2 with many people, like a couple people I did, but I was like, yeah, like you are my ride or die, like we're gonna be F2, and he like didn't really reciprocate it, so like, but I felt like he did have my back the whole time, and I know he gave me the vote, like he probably talked to them and was like, I need to do this, like, and then I don't know, but that's.
But yeah, he told me he was voting for you just to keep you. So, because he was wondering if I got HOH if I put him up, I'm like, yes, I would. So,
yeah.
I actually probably am one of the only people in like jury that did not trust Dan from the beginning. Even before Smiley was formed, I had said that I was leery about Dan, and had said a couple of times to, I think I said it to you, Anthony, and I think I said it to some other people that like at like 7-6, like he has to go, and that was, I think, a major downfall because I expressed it to the wrong people. That
I never said anything because I agreed with it. Obviously.
Because he said it in my goodbye message that he knew that I was coming after him, so I had to leave. So I think I'm the only one that wasn't like on the Dan trust train, but I totally recognize the game that he played was phenomenal.
Does anyone have anything to say, like in terms of a weakness of Dan's game?
I really, I know it's like after the game, but I really hated his goodbye message. It like actively made me very upset. To me, it was very, very cold, and we are friends out of the game, and I'm like, this is not how you talk to a friend that you just beat.
Yeah, I think on the same vein, like, Dan and I have talked previously about my jury messaging. I always ask like really pointed and like specific questions based on what I view. And so when he put me on the jury, I was expecting more of a consoling, kind of like a holistic, like, I really enjoyed playing with you, and like I had to do what I had to do kind of thing. But I didn't really get it. It was similar to Mark, a little cold.
Okay.
But
anything else?
I think he got to a point which is great, but also is not lazy, but he did let Justin and Gwen do more of the strategic moves. And then he basically sat back, I said it earlier, and just could compete against only 6 people instead of 18. And I recognize that. Like, I think that Dan is playing an impeccable game and borderline, like maybe BBH legendary as far as like having people brainwashed to want to take him to the end. But like, as far as he's set himself up to have a cakewalk at the end, but like, you know, a lot of things Gwen kept saying were like, yeah, well, people don't always care about comps, they care about relationships and strategy. Well, you know, yeah, he had the relationships, he might have burned a few people, but there were I think from a strategic standpoint, I guess he let other people do the maneuvering, which makes me give some other people credit. And it's one of those things where I think if it's him and Justin, there is a chance that, not just because Justin was my number 1 in the game, but because if it's him and Justin and somebody makes a more compelling argument, it could be more difficult. If it's either one of them against Gwen, it's going to be a lot harder for Gwen to overcome that, because of she just kind of lied and said what you wanted to hear. But for Dan, I would say that the chink in the armor for him is that he was able to kind of just sit back and compete in comps and not really have to do much work. And that's why he was in a good position, though, to also say, look, I had to let you go. It's best for my game. Bye, instead of having to console people.
What I do wonder, though, is because I had a 40-minute long video conversation with him on Smiley Night, like the night that Smiley fell apart, where he actually did feel safe, like the round that Mason went home. And like he said, why you have all this information, because this is the end of my game. And I do wonder if that was really him thinking it was the end of his game, or if that was him just being like, oh, let me stay and repair the damage with Mark.
Anybody else have any final thoughts about Dan?
Anthony, what did you think the main difference was in Gwen and Justin's like play at the end? Because I don't know if I see that much of a difference.
So with me, I was close to both of them. Like, even in the beginning, I was probably closer to Dan. Outside of Justin and K-Pow, Dan might have been up there. Then Adam and I started growing. But what I'll circle back to is with Justin, there were times that I think he had gotten to a situation, because if you look at my vote, if there would have been a split vote, Gwen would have made the decision anyway. So I noticed that with Gwen told me anything and everything I wanted to hear. What really got me with Gwen, and it was a ton of red flags, and I couldn't overcome it to put her on the block next to Dan, because I just thought I'd have the wrath of all 3 of them coming at me the next round, which I did anyway, but I didn't think that would happen. But Gwen would be like, hashtag justice for Jacob. Like, because when Jacob left, Jacob was like, Gwen, you can trust Anthony, and Anthony, you can trust Gwen. This was round 2, and she would still bring it up almost as like a motivating factor for our relationship to work so tightly. And it was kind of hokey to me. But with Justin, like Justin and I would talk about like rounds, like 2 or 3 rounds down the row, and he might have said some things outside of our conversations, but like it didn't burn me, because I talked about trying to get Dan out in the double, Dan and Gwen out in the double, and it didn't burn me yet. So I just feel like Justin listened, held information, used it to his advantage, where Gwen was like, yeah, no, I'll totally support you if you go after Dan. And it was one of those things, like, it wasn't as cunning. It was just like, whatever you want to hear, and then I'm going to burn you later. So I guess I respect someone burning me in a more strategic way.
So she just didn't convince you as much.
Yeah, like, even though she wasn't convincing, like, strategically, I just felt like the only reason I didn't go after her is because I didn't want Justin to burn that relationship. So that's kind of where I was. But that was my point of view because of where I was at in the game and the alignment. You know, I always felt like, and in my mind, I always thought I'm probably at the bottom half of Smiley, and I always assumed that there was probably them three because I would watch how the information would transfer to me, and I would say like, okay, I'm starting to see how information gets to me from different people, and I'm not in that conversation all the time. So I knew like I was gonna have to take a shot at like Dan or Gwen before, but I just didn't have the balls to do it the right way.
All right, let's move into talking about Gwen. She seems to be the most controversial of the three. But does anybody have like what are some of the strengths of Gwen's game?
I want to shout out Gwen on her first interaction with me. So we got to talking because we were educators, and RIP Bad Apples, RIP the teacher's pets. But when I first told her, I was like, hey, like I'm a third grade ELA teacher. And then she was like, oh my God, I speak French. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I spoke another language. But I speak Cambodian. She goes, oh my God, that's so cool. And then the next morning she sent me good morning in Cambodian in my Skype chat. I thought that was a really nice, like, first interaction.
I never had a short conversation with her, and they were always very meaty. Like, out of the people in the game, socially, she was who I was closest with. And that's saying a lot because y'all know that I'm friends with Davey. So, like I was like, that's pretty impressive. She never hit my number one, but, like, she was always... I never doubted her being on my side and working with her.
I think her social, like everybody else said, like her social game, I think was just on point. She found ways to connect with everybody. She found ways to draw people in. Even if you weren't having like a long conversation with her, she would definitely, at least like very much in the beginning, like every morning would like check in and say hi, or like every night would check out and say good night. So I definitely think she worked on getting those relationships on her side. I think knowing that at least the beginning of the game is very much just like, who are you like who is the ones like in your inbox, like who are you talking to? Which is why some other people went home super early, just because people were like, have you gotten any messages from this person? No, I haven't. So I think that's a big strength.
I must have like with a different Gwen or something, because I did not have this type of interactions with her that everybody else did. Like, I would try to talk to Gwen, and I felt like it was just like pulling teeth trying to get the conversation to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah, this is like very interesting to hear.
Let's take it a step further. On day 0, she didn't say hi until at least 2 p.m. Like, we had already done the first vote, and then she showed up.
But like, even on day 0, since she was like the one that was ostracized from our bus, in her words, I don't think she was ostracized. She just didn't say hi. But I even like reached out to her on day 0, trying to build something with her, just because I was like, if I really try to get something here, maybe nobody else is talking to her. And she talked to me for like a little bit. That was probably the longest conversation we ever had. And after that, it would just be like an occasional, like, one of us would say like, how are you today? Like, what are you thinking? And it just didn't really go anywhere. I don't know. She always tried to act like she was on my side, but she wasn't good at making me think she actually was. I think that she played a good game because she got here and she got into a group that could get her this far, but she never made me feel like I had her vote at all. I wanted her to go in the first double eviction when she was on the block. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get the votes to make that happen. And that's when I really realized that she was going to make it far in this game. Because in a double eviction that early, when it's almost unanimous, it's kind of scary.
It was also I got a lot, like, because I was like talking to a lot of people that day. And it was also because there were only 4 girls in the cast too. That's what I heard too. And since Ashley just went home the day before,
yeah,
that's.
So I thought that was probably part of it too. But I don't know. I think she's like, I don't want to take away from her game because I think she would have probably, again, no offense, but I think she probably would have beaten Macy, Anthony, and Mark. I think because just based off of jury conversations, I think she probably would have. I just think she played the in-game very poorly, and I didn't see the social game that sounds like other people saw with her.
I mean, I do think they all rested on their laurels towards the end, except for Dan. I'm not going to deny that. As someone that was up to basically the end game with them, like it seemed like it was just us being like, oh my god, we can't beat Dan, and then Dan wins every challenge, and it's like, fuck. Oh well, we got your back, Mark, and that was like because in my mind it felt like a take three with me, her, and Justin. After Dan put me on the block the second time, so.
What are oh, go ahead, K-Pop.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I know for me, like, I think I mentioned this, but like Gwen had actually called me the night that I was evicted, to like tell me that she was evicting me, and like talk about some stuff, which I don't know, but for me that was really nice because on the whole, like, it was like radio silence for me, except for Davey, which we've talked about this, but so like I really appreciated that. I mean, it could have been and probably was like to save some face with me to sending me to the jury, but I do think that like that is a part of her social game that she just like went and did that.
She worked the social game. Like I remember in the beginning, she was like, "Hey, do you have time to make a call?" She'd send me like a screenshot of her schedule, and I was like, "Oh, your schedule's like not lining with mine." She's like, "Well, let's do it tomorrow." And then, like, she was very rigid. And look, I realized how good she was in the social aspect. We were in the middle of a video chat 1-on-1, and she was like looking at a list of like things that she had to do and talk to, and she would like Crispy was still on the list, but he had just got voted out before. She's like, oh yeah, I don't have to talk to Crispy. So like she put in work on that, and that was impressive. She basically did what I like thought I was gonna do in the game, but like, you know, she has the experience, but she was great at like trying to connect with you and talk to you, and socially she outworked, I think, Dan and Justin in that regard.
She must have only did that with the people she wanted to, because I got none of that out of her.
Yeah, from my perspective, Dan worked way harder.
Dan was the most social out of the three for me. Like, I would go 3 days and not talk to Gwen.
Wow. That was like me with Dan like towards the early parts of the game.
So, maybe she really did turn against the blue bus.
That's why I immediately left it when you went out. So,
with some potential weaknesses in Gwen's game, where are some of those weak spots?
I think she out of the three of them, I feel like she rested on her laurels of like, I'm a good social player the most. That's what I gathered from, like, because it felt like she told me that she threw challenges and stuff like that. And I don't know, I would never tell her when I threw a challenge. If I actually don't throw challenges. That's a big thing about who I am. I'm just bad at challenges. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of someone resting on their laurels too much of like, hey, I'm in a good standing because I've talked to people sometimes or whatever. I don't know.
I think one of her weaknesses is, like, as a jury member, I want to see like your story, I want to see your resume, and I want to see your jury management. I see a little bit of her jury management and I see her story, but I don't necessarily see her resume. So I don't know, like, if she's like out of the three, if she's my number one to like be voted for in the end. It just depends on if she sits next to Justin.
I agree.
That's where I'm at.
I agree about the resume. Like, that was something I was like thinking about for myself, and I whiffed it. And then, like, you know, the whole time, like I'm looking at her, waiting for her to do the big move, and she doesn't. And it's like, okay, you know, you were good right now. Like she was good at balancing a water bottle on her head with a foot in the air, which is admirable. But is that big? You know, is that big brother? We'll see, right?
And
That is.
But this is my like kind of my final question about Gwen's game. Is there a move that she needs to make to win some of your guys' respect?
I vote to evict Dan.
I vote to evict Dan. Yeah.
That I'm honestly I think if one of them if one of them is like I was the final HOH and I evicted Dan, they have my vote. That's just it. Like honestly,
you're talking about both Gwen and
both
Justin,
or Justin. Yeah, I mean, like honestly, my vote is up in the air. But like if it's like Justin and Gwen up there, and one of them is like, yeah, it's the final HOH and I evicted Dan. That's where my vote's going. Dan ran the end game. Like he won every fucking challenge. Someone's got to take it out. It's the same reason.
I still think it's gonna be hard, like because like I don't know, from hearing her, like she thinks she can stand next to Dan. She thinks Dan's gonna be bitter. I mean, people are gonna be bitter to Dan from what she told me, and I don't see. I warned both of them, like you're gonna lose to Dan. Like I love Dan, love you too. You're gonna lose to him, and she's like, I don't know. I have a good read on the house, so like I'm worried that that's not gonna happen, and then I'm also worried like. Yeah, that would be a good move, but I feel like all the work has been done. So, like, from a strategic standpoint, I felt like Dan and Justin were holding that end of the bargain, and she was doing the relationship side. So that's when I'm like, okay, what's more valuable to me at the end? And then it's going to be Justin and Gwen, and it's not going to, I don't know. It's going to be a harder decision to make than Dan and Gwen.
It seems like from jury chats that if it's like Dan and Gwen at the end, it's like 9-0. Like it's kind of like how I've taken it to be.
I've taken it from what I've heard. Now, jury questions could change things. I think Dan wins if he's there, just based off what people have said. I think Justin versus Gwen could get very interesting because I think a lot of people want to hear Justin's answers to questions
and not have them involve flashcards.
And I think the same for Gwen too. Like
cards.
I think if you're wanting the most entertaining, just like for a pure live vote point of view, I think Justin and Gwen gives us that because Gwen could possibly earn my vote over Justin. I don't see a way she wins it over Dan.
All right, I want to talk about Justin. And I want to give I know several of you have things to say. Some of you were very close with him. So let's talk about Justin's game.
I want to see the flashcards.
Yeah, I didn't get those either.
You didn't see the little papers moving?
He literally gave me a 3-minute long video, and then a second 3-minute long video telling me how I replaced K-Pow.
He basically he had everyone's like cut out faces from like the BB house picture, and he like moved them around, which is funny because like I did that with just names, like as far as mentally visualizing things. But like it's just funny how he was explaining like, you know, I had this and I did this, and look, it makes sense, but I guess it doesn't work with when you do it to everyone. Mine was catered to me because he tried to, I guess, blow smoke up my butt about convincing Crispy to backdoor Lee, and he was like, I didn't realize how important you were in that until you told me, and I guess that was somewhat flattering, but yeah, you didn't miss out on much, and especially if you're already close to it and you kind of knew. So
it was really weird because it got very mastermindy sounding towards the end of it. It was like, and I controlled this game. I'm like, what's your voice? Like I'm like standing there in line waiting to vote, and I'm like talking about like how he like controlled the game like an evil mastermind. I'm like, Justin, you're scaring me.
I won't play it, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
So from y'all's perspective, did Justin run the game from a strategic standpoint?
Yes.
I think I could say just a single one of them did because I think they made every move together. Like I think they had different influences, each of them, but I think the decision making came from the three of them all just coming to a decision.
Okay. This is my actual honest opinion about the whole situation, because in Green Bus land, at least for me, it felt like Green Bus was running the show. And the fact that that he basically made us all think we were running the show when he was the only person on RBG is saying a lot. I mean, at least to me, it felt like he was running the show.
I don't feel the same, Mark. I think that Green Bus was only talking when it was like when there was 10 of us, and we're like, oh my god, we're half the house. We didn't talk. Like, Anthony didn't, like, I was on the side chats with Anthony and you, and like K-Pow and Gwen, and like maybe Justin. I don't think that we were as cohesive, and like I don't think that Justin had a lot of strategic pull, other than just like planning together, as Chandler said, which is like part of the reason why I feel so like this, Justin, you need to sit next to Gwen, or else you're like not going to stand a chance.
And honestly, and I kind of sound like a broken record because I keep bringing up Dan's name, but just from my perspective, Justin wanted Crispy out the week that I went out. Dan specifically told me he wanted me out instead through the veto competition so that Crispy would be more likely to win. He claims he could have beaten Crispy because he knew what score he could have gotten. No, he could have made that up. I have no way of knowing that. But through the competition so that Crispy could win, he would come off the block and he could get me put up. To me, that shows that, and at least in that single decision, he was the one that had the strategic control, not Justin. But that's just
what I'll say.
Huh?
What week was that?
The week I went to, like the first week of Jury.
What I'll say is when Smiley was created, you know, it did have myself and K-Pow, which are Green Bus, which gave him, I think, a layer of insulation. And he did. It's kind of funny, too, because he didn't get in a position where he ever had to put up a Green Bus person to show his cards, which was more, I guess, a circumstance of, like, timing. So I will say I felt like just because he had people like us with his best interests, and we felt like we had his best interests as well. And then there were times where I guess some of the Green Bus folks, like outside of Smiley, were also working in unison together in some regard, that it did leave some insurances. So it does make me feel like, I guess he had himself most protected, even though he saw the block twice, right?
Yes.
Yes. Right. So I also thought that was interesting. Like, the guy saw the block twice and didn't go, which was interesting to me. And
he was on the block. He was on the block 3 times.
3 times because of the most.
Oh, because
like.
Well, let's not count that one. The way I went home.
But like, and you know, like if you don't know, I thought he was my number 1, and there was times where I told him he was my number 1, and he never said it back, and that's what like my red flags were, and I didn't act on it. But what I will say is, he got where he's at because of the way he handled the closer people to him, which were someone like me, and we did do dirty work or do work for him, which I feel played in a strategic way. I don't feel played in a like bitter, like you just told me what I wanted to hear. Like, I really feel like if there was a time and place where I could have got votes to stay, or if I could have got the votes to get Dan out, there's maybe a chance in his mind he would have done it. But it seemed like at the time, talking to both of them, that it wasn't going to happen because of Gwen. So like, that's my perception of it, is like, I feel like strategy-wise, he put in the most work. And unfortunately, I think he got so excited about the strategy that he put in, it comes off a little pompous in his goodbye videos. But like, he didn't have to show me what he did because I saw it. But I feel like the work that we had to do also helped him out. And I guess that leads to his successful strategy.
Well, I'd piggybacking that, when I put him and K-Pow up, K-Pow comes off, and I put Lee up. I went back and thought, there's not a single person in the house at that time I could have put up, and Justin would have gone home. Like, he was staying no matter what that week. I should have put Dan up in retrospect, but that's a different story.
I think there's a chance that he would have gone home over Gwen. Possibly.
I could see that.
It would have been close.
Yeah. I don't know with the Green Bus stuff. I don't know if like, I don't know where y'all were at, but I don't think I would.
I
numbers.
I wasn't cutting Justin until like final 6.
Yeah.
Same.
So Justin was well insulated through at least top 5. But a lot of what he says, though, he's also. You guys were there. Who actually created Smiley? Was it him or was it Macy?
All right, Macy created it, but we all talked and we were like, "Let Macy create it, so we don't get credit for it."
In
Like,
his
because
goodbye
we don't want
video,
it
he
depend on
said he
us.
created it to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's taking credit for things that other people did as well.
We're closing, so
He was the one who
Closing time.
who approached me about it, and I said, I don't know how I feel about being in a 6 with Dan. Was actually like,
Oh, she did. She did say that.
so that's how that went. And then I talked to Dan for almost an hour that night, to like try to get a thing to try to work through that with him. So like I said, even before Smiley was created, I was like, I don't know.
So
Dan didn't do anything wrong. Like, I just didn't feel it.
It was the mustache.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this. I'll also add. So Macy reached out to me. Macy and I had a bond because of the whole tie thing, and with Lee and the 10-second my little tapping deal. So Macy and I got a little closer, and then Macy was like, I said, "Well, who are you close to? Like, who do you want to work with?" And she told me Dan, Gwen, and K-Pow. And she said, and then I was like, okay, well, obviously the girls, right? And then she was like, I'm a little bit closer to Gwen than K-Pow. So I went to Justin. I said, Justin, we're talking about putting this 6 together with Macy. She's not even bringing your name up. And he's like, it doesn't matter. We need it. We should make this happen. And that's when I was like, is he coaching her to not even bring his name up? Like, and then Macy could probably elaborate on that. But like, it was definitely pulling some strings between Dan and more. I felt like Justin, because Justin and I talked about it the most. And then Macy created it because no one wanted to have that pinned on them. Like, why'd you create a 6-person alliance and didn't get me included in it if it did get out?
Did people know about Smiley except for Smiley until it ended? That were in the game?
I don't think so.
Okay. I was just curious about that, like, because I was so shocked when Justin told me, and then more shocked when Dan told me every detail, and then pretended to be shocked when you told me details.
Yeah, you did a great job pretending when we talked. And the thing is, I would have told you earlier, but I was dealing with Dan and Macy and putting them on the block, and I was like, I gotta go tell Mark. And then I talked to Justin. He's like, yeah, I told Mark too, and I was like, all right, he did a really good job pretending.
It was so funny because like once I got the call with you, I was like, I made it like, cause I did 3 confessions and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, basically. And then like I literally get off the call with you and I see I have a message from Gwen being like, there's so much drama, and I'm like, I don't know how to handle this.
And that was the thing, like Smiley, they had like almost like a cult like alliance situation. Like K-Pow was gone. That was like final 6. We had 5 left in the final 6, and I had to put someone up. And I told Dan, like, look, you just haven't been on the block. It's for the team. And then I realized if I want to get Dan out, I got to blow this thing up. So that's when Dan started throwing the girls on the bus. Like, we should break up the duo. And I kind of baited him into it though. And you can ask Mitchell. It was so messy. I've never seen so many people leave so many group chats in like a short period of time, and then rename them before they left, and then leave them. It was awesome.
I love the pettiness. Okay, wait. We have very much so gone off topic of Justin. Does anyone have anything else to say about Justin?
Kind of on topic.
Kind of, but we gave due justice to Dan and Gwen's game. Let's give due justice to.
Honestly, for me, he's who I'm leaning towards voting the most right now. I think it's because I worked with him the most out of 3 of them. And he never lied to me in the game. That's where I am. He didn't tell me all the truth, but I don't think he lied. Okay, K-Pal might know things I don't know then. That's okay. But it was, I don't know. It just, I feel like he managed me very well to the point where he's my number 1.
I need Justin to own the fact that he played me. Like, to get my vote. Like, if he, like, goes off on this tangent about, like, no, you were actually my number 1. Like, I didn't do this. I was loyal, blah, blah, blah. Like, I lose so much respect for him in the game he played. Like, I literally want him to look at me and be like, yeah, I played you. And if he does that, I would be 100 times more likely to vote for him. So.
Okay. Anyone else got anything they want to say about Justin? And then we're going to start wrapping this thing up because it is after midnight and I want to go to sleep. Not that I don't love talking to you guys because I have missed all of your faces.
That's a lie.
It's not.
They turned the lights out on me over here. They're running me out.
Yeah, they want you to go home.
I'm just scared there's no masks out there, and I see it's not empty.
It's pretty empty now.
Okay.
Just
Hey, Anthony, is Sarah there? Just curious.
no, she's not. She's not.
Dang it. Okay.
We will have to set something up though.
All right. No one else has anything they want to say about Justin? All right, sounds good. Let's quickly go around the horn. Give me your 1, 2, 3 order, like who you want to vote. Who right now, where your vote's leaning. Number 1, the person you're most likely to vote for, and then obviously down through the rest. Mark, you can go first.
Justin, Gwen, Dan.
Okay. Crispy.
Dan, flipping a coin.
Okay. K-Pow.
Justin, Dan, Gwen.
Chandler.
Dan, and I'm gonna say like 2A Justin, 2B Gwen. They would really completely down to jury questions.
Okay, fair enough. Anthony.
I'm in a similar situation, but I'm like a 1A Dan, 1B Justin with maybe Gwen. She'd have to really come strong with the jury questioning and her sword.
Davey.
I would vote Dan, and then I would begrudgingly maybe vote Justin, but it would depend on jury questions because I do think that Gwen has more to say. I think her goodbye video was pretty nice in terms of what I wanted to hear. Yeah, of course I got one.
I did.
I didn't get a goodbye message.
I got one from her.
Sucks to suck. Oh, come on, Mitch.
I got one.
Davey, get your life. Okay.
Actually, no, I didn't send a book to you guys because I was. It's unblock someone.
So that's I'll be honest. That is interesting to hear y'all all say that because I thought it was a lot more clear than that coming into
I did
this.
too.
But that makes it all the more interesting to see how this thing is going to wrap up tomorrow. So for anyone who watches this, anyone who's watching this or will watch this later on, tomorrow night, final HOH will be crowned live around 9 to 9:15, and then we'll bring the jury in for their questions, and we will crown a winner of Big Brother Hometown Season 11. Hey guys, on behalf of the production team, thank you so much for everything that y'all have done this season and all the amazing things that y'all brought. Each one of you, including Blake and Macy, and the final 3 brought something that was just unique and special to this season, and we really appreciate what you guys have done. When you get out into the viewing party and you see me ranting about you on Facebook, like it's nothing personal. It's just the game. I really loved watching all of you play.
That's cool. I don't know.
Crispy, you are not the most hated person.
Crispy, I can tell you so much more hated. Probably.
No one is.
Wait, were you pointing to me or Ashley State?
I think
No one is hated. No one is hated. This season was really fun. It was a great cast. You guys, like I said, you guys all brought something unique and special and made it really fun. You all played very hard, and that's really all we ask for when we're casting these things and as it's playing out. So thank you so much. We hope you had
Josh.
Yeah.
Also, hi Josh. I never.
Hi Josh. Shout out to the man.
Shout out.
Oh, it was. I mean, considering that I did not watch Big Brother since week 3, this was much more entertaining for me.
Nice.
So, but
I'm Christmas.
Yeah. Oh God. you don't want to be Christmas. Okay. Good. We're gonna sign out based on that.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much.
I love playing with you all. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
we'll see you tomorrow for the finale.
Davey just
Thanks,
quit.
Mitchell.